Hey, X here. Let's talk about success for a minute. The keys to success are integrity, always learning.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? This is Peter X's O'Coffer back doing another podcast episode for Level Up, the personal branding podcast. And today's topic is branding and social media. Now, if you remember in the first or second episode, I said do not confuse branding with just posting on social media. Social media is a tool and it can be very important, but it is just a tool. So I'm just going to start off with one meme looking back to the last episode. And here it is. Dear outsiders, even the most beautiful of wildflowers are considered weeds in the wrong gardens. What another thinks of you does not dictate your value. And this is just that, there's a lot going on here, but it speaks to just trust your brand, trust who you are, and trust, you will find your purpose and you're on the right path. There's lots of haters out there, and they'll do whatever they can to tear you down. But there's nothing wrong with being a wildflower. And to quote other people, it's about finding your tribe, and hopefully at some point down the road as you are on your journey, building your tribe. So, social media. The king of social media is still Facebook. I know a lot of younger folks don't use that as much, but I think it's still kind of the king because it's pretty versatile. You can do video, you can post from YouTube, you can post songs, you can and it's easier to use than most of the other ones. There's just a lot you can do with that. And the last I checked, there's over 2.7 billion people on Facebook, so it's still the largest social media site out there. It's probably the most important when it comes to branding if you're on there, because employers have a way of, or they will at least try to see, look at your Facebook page to see who you are and what you're doing. If you're a business owner, it's best to soft sell on Facebook. People don't like hard sells. Even when I release a book or new music, I usually just do one post and leave it alone just to let people know. It's sort of like people kind of view their Facebook friends as a second or third family. You have the family you're born into, then the family you kind of build around you, your friends, and many people I think really do view the Facebook family as a third family. And people aren't real keen sometimes on being sold stuff, particularly hard sells. But so you soft sell that, but it's very, very important in your personal brand. And next is Twitter. That's my personal favorite because I'm a writer, and you can do a lot of writing on it. You can also post pictures, and you can probably do some video on there. But I just kind of, it's my personal favorite, but it's a much smaller platform. There's only, last I checked, about 350 million plus on there. And then there's Instagram, and that's the fastest growing one at 1.1 billion. Interesting platform. I'm still trying to figure that out. This is a platform that is really it's tailor made for women. They do well, and I follow a lot of celebrities on Instagram, and the women just kill it, and the men are just. I mean, I joke and sometimes tell people that men on Instagram is kind of like when you're a kid and your mom took you shopping and you just sat there while she tried on clothes or whatever, and men are just boring on Instagram. And it's fine. I mean, women need a platform. I mean, there's still a lot of inequalities when it comes to the gender, not only in the U.S. but everywhere. And so the fact that there's a social media platform where women can become influencers and monetize that and do well is a good thing. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying. One of the things though that a gentleman who named Adam Ivy, he said for Instagram, for those of you who want to brand on that, he has a 30-30 rule. Well, whereas 30% should focus on the product that's you as a brand, 30% should be personal, and that's the eating the lunch, being with friends, yada yada yada, and 30% should be your passion. And when I look, Adam Ivy does music promotion on YouTube, so that's where I got that from. And when I look at and see the people who do well on Instagram, they are kind of doing the 30-30 thing, the 30-30-30 thing that Adam Ivy talks about. So that's a good kind of a breakdown of what's successful on Instagram. And next there's TikTok and YouTube. So TikTok, last I checked, had almost 700 million users, and then YouTube had 2 billion users. I haven't figured out TikTok. Every once in a while, I'll jump on TikTok just to be entertained. And of course, Instagram and Facebook have their own versions of TikTok now, because it is moving along and doing well. YouTube is amazing in many ways. 2 billion users. You can learn so much on YouTube. As a musician, I've learned a lot of tricks on there, studio tricks, everything. Writing as a writer, I've sat and watched a lot of George R. Martin talks about writing. I almost look at YouTube as a free university, and there's lots of money to be made if you want to be an influencer and do it right on YouTube. I'm not going to get into that, and most people don't have a brand or a real presence on YouTube. And there definitely is an art to being an influencer, but there are plenty of YouTube video series on how to be an influencer and how to shape your brand on YouTube. And my advice would be to find some people that you like and really watch them to see why certain people have hundreds of thousands and even millions of followers on YouTube. They're doing something. They're attracting an audience for a reason. So how do I use social media? As I said, I don't do TikTok. They finally got my music on TikTok. It's kind of interesting. I've looked at I have a few folks doing stuff with my songs on TikTok, and it's interesting now. There is data on some of the streaming services about how many people listen to your stuff on TikTok. So that's a little interesting. I'm not going to go into that. That's behind the scenes and under the hood stuff. But no, I don't have a presence on TikTok other than my music. My approach to Facebook is I try to I have a lot of positive memes. I mean, there's so much going on in the world, and there's a lot of stress. So I have I use a lot of that stuff, and also funny memes. And then as I said earlier, I do light promotion of my music and books. So that's my Facebook approach. Instagram, as I said, I'm like most men and still trying to find my way there. But I do put up a lot of writing and music memes. That's my passion. That's what I do. I do personal life photos on there, and I'll do a few positive self-help memes that I borrow from my Facebook page. And then on Twitter, um, sometimes I'll do updates on there about what I'm doing as far as my writing and music. I do put some personal life events. I do some tributes for people who pass. I also kind of talk about the TV shows, musicians, books that I like, and trying to promote other artists. I do a little. I haven't done it in a while, but some positive and self help means as well. And then I don't really have much of a YouTube presence yet. Well, my music is on YouTube, obviously. I did a short book reading for my first book on there. It's pretty amateurish. I don't have a thumbnail. I didn't follow all the little neat tricks that I didn't even think of doing that. But it is what it is. I'm going to leave it there. And I did a few just, they're about 3 to 5 minute posts. One, I was just experimenting and talked about my love of one of the DC movies and did a little defense of DC for the Marvel folks who like to hate. And I do like them both, DC and Marvel, by the way. I'm more of a Marvel person, but have become I respect what DC does. So, and I think it was Suicide Squad and the first Suicide Squad movie, and people were kind of trashing it. So I did a little defense of the Suicide Squad. So eventually, I think down the road, a couple years from now, I have an idea for what I want to do on YouTube, and it's kind of fermenting and forming in my mind as part of me building my brand. But I'm not doing that now because it's not time. There's other things I need to do to build my brand to get there, and that's what branding's all about. As I've reiterated throughout the episodes, is branding is a brick by brick process that takes time, and you have to start small and build. And so eventually I might do something on YouTube, but again, that's a few years down the road because I have things to do to get there. So why did I pick doing a podcast instead of YouTube? Well, a lot of it had to do is I don't have the video editing experience, and editing and preparing a podcast is pretty similar to music. So that was the main factor for me deciding to do a podcast rather than a YouTube. There is a lot more you can do, obviously, with a YouTube channel that you can't do on a podcast. There's the visual aspect that you don't get. But for where I'm at now, where I'm at in my branding, podcasting made the most sense. So if you're a business owner, what would I recommend? Well, go lightly on Facebook because again, people look at that as their third family. I haven't had a whole lot of luck with Facebook ads, with my book and music. I would recommend, I've been told that it's better if you have a short, 15 to 30-second video with a song, and I haven't done that. But if you do decide to do a business ad on Facebook, I'd recommend maybe doing a 15-second video instead. I do think Instagram ads, even though they're visual, are pretty effective. I notice I tend to remember Instagram ads more than Twitter or Facebook ads. And then Twitter, I mean, most of them are visual, and I think they're, but it's a little more, it's a different platform than Instagram. So, I mean, if, I do think Instagram is probably the best platform if you want to do ads. because it's simple and it's a simple platform and a visual platform, and so ads that will go well in magazines and newspapers will also do well on Instagram. So when it comes to social media and branding, experiment with it a little. All of these platforms are important. They are all part of your brand, and put stuff on there that you should think it through. I mean, there should be a strategy. I know, I have some strategy with each platform because it's not just random. I want to portray something. I want to try to have an impact and be positive. So, as you build your brand, see how your brand can be expressed through social media. My one advice is to be careful about what you put on social media. If you put the wrong things on there, they can actually hurt your brand. And there's plenty of instances out there of people putting things on social media that comes back to bite them later. Luckily, I mean, social media didn't hit until I was in my 40s. So, I did plenty of stupid stuff when I was in high school and in my 20s. Luckily, Facebook and social media didn't exist. So keep that in mind because it's hard to erase some of that stuff once it gets on there. So just be mindful, assume that if you put something on social media that it'll be out there forever. And so that's my one caveat, and it's tough for young folks because you don't have that mindset, and you might think something's funny, and 5 to 10 years later, you realize it's not funny. So, or just it was just a bad move. Just it didn't make you look good. So I mean, but it's part of the journey. Millennials and Gen Z, you're going to make mistakes on social media, and it's part of the journey, and you should treat it as part of the journey. If you run into problems with it, and then problem solve and learn from it, and if it's raised up against you professionally, then own it and talk about how you learn from it. So the song I'm going to end with is actually the very first song on my very first album, Book One. It's called I'm Gonna Make You Move. And I actually ended up doing two versions of this song. The first version was the opening track, and it's still the second most streamed song, at least on Spotify, of my songs. But I'm going to use what is called the cyberfunk version. It's a little more experimental and psychedelic. One of the things I'm doing in my branding is kind of throwing the cyberfunk title on some of my more out there, weird, outlandish stuff. One, so people can recognize it, and two, to brand that part of myself. So this is I'm going to Make You Move, the cyberfunk mix. And I ended up doing both because the sound engineer liked the first one, and my friend who was giving me advice on all my songs liked the first one. And I didn't want to start the album with the cyberfunk mix because it was just way out there. And maybe I should have, but I'm okay that I didn't. The nice thing now, there is no time constraints really on albums, and back when there were records or tapes or CDs, I mean, I think CDs had a limit of 86 minutes. So rather than fight, I just threw them both on there. So here is I'm Gonna Make You Move, the cyberfunk mix. And before we go on to do I'm Gonna Make You Move, I want to give an explanation of why I am choosing this song. Not just because it's the first song most people ever heard from me, but I think that just social media should be used to move your brand in a positive manner. So I was going back and forth on a few songs, and it just, kind of struck me that social media is a tool, and use it to move your brand and to, so yeah.
I see you checking me out, I see that look in your eye. You're trying to be sly, but I'm gonna be that type of guy. I know you're a little shy, been there, done that too. But it's all about you and me, what you feel is true, yeah. I'm gonna make you move, I'm gonna do you right. I'm gonna make you move, I'll make you dance tonight. I'm gonna make you move, I'm gonna do you right. I'm gonna make you move, I'll make you dance tonight, yeah. You wanna put yourself out there, who will break your fall? Just need to relax, everything will be alright. Step out a little, or put up a little to me. I'll meet you halfway, it'll be good, you see, yeah. Gonna make you move, I'm gonna do you right. I'm gonna make you move, I'll make you dance tonight. I'm gonna make you move, I'm gonna do you right. I'm gonna make you move, I'll make you dance tonight.